So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's class. This is lecture number 22 on work, power, and energy. I'm getting some noises from where? Think from here. This is lecture number 22 for on work, power, and energy. And we have discussed a lot about energy, work energy theorem. In the last classes, we were dealing with LOCME, law of conservation of mechanical energy. In the previous class, if I just go through a quick recap, we had discussed about power. Power, what is power? Power is the rate at which work is done, or I can say it, rate at which energy is spent. If someone is doing work, the rate at which that work is done, or if somebody, some machine is spending some energy, at what rate that energy is spent. Every motor you might have seen pump has a power that tells us at what rate it is going to spend energy. That is power. So, scalar quantity, it is energy divided by time or work divided by time. The unit is watt. 1 watt is 1 joule per second. We had also seen some units like kilowatt hour. That is not the unit of power, that is the unit of energy. We had also seen horsepower, megawatt, kilowatt, and so on. We have also seen that this power can be thought of as two types. One is average power, how much average power I am spending over a period of time. Total work or total energy divided by total time gives me the average power, which I am highlighting in green. Then there is something known as instantaneous power, which I am now highlighting in pink. This instantaneous power is the power at any instant dw by dt, or very nicely I can write it as F dot V. It is the dot product of force with velocity. We'd also seen the relationship between instantaneous power and average power, and the relation is in green. As you can all see, average power is integral of p dt divided by integral of dt. Sorry, integral of dt is nothing but it is the total time taken. Now, that was a quick recap of the previous day's class. In today's class, we are supposed to solve some questions, and we would definitely start with questions from your exercise, and we will take up the first question from your exercise, and that, as you can see, is question number 64. Question number 64 is what we are going to do. And the question goes like this. I will read this question, underline the important points. You can only read the question once. Remember, in the examination hall, time is very important. Read the question once, understand the important points, solve the question. That is how you do it. So here comes the question. A car of mass m, so mass is given, is driven with an acceleration a. So acceleration a is given on a straight road with a constant resistive force. So there is a constant resistive force. It could be friction as well. This question could be put in the form of friction, where instead of writing it as constant resistive force, I can write the coefficient of friction is mu. I can also write this question as the coefficient of friction is mu. So we'll solve the question in both the ways. So do you understand what the difference? There is no difference as such. The question and the solution is exactly same. So the constant resistive force that they are talking about is given as r, so you don't have to find the value. Velocity of the car is v. So right now the car is moving with a velocity v. Remember, the car is constantly accelerated So its acceleration is constant, but its velocity will not be constant. Velocity will keep on changing because acceleration is there. So velocity will keep on changing. What they are talking about here is the moment when the velocity of the car is v. At one particular moment, velocity will be v. If I look at some other moment, the velocity will change. So here the power that they are talking about, the rate at which the engine of the car is doing work. So he is talking about power. Which power are we supposed to find out in this case? It is not mentioned here which power they are talking about. So remember, when nothing is mentioned, we always think about instantaneous power. So here they're asking about instantaneous power. This question has come many times in JE as well, NEET as well, JIPMAR as well, previously AIMS as well. So this is the question that you're going to do. I have marked it star. You have 2 minutes. Your time starts now. Can I have some raised hands from the students that we are trying the problem? So I'll give you some time. Abhiram is trying. What about the others in the class? Tanu, Tarun, Vasant, Akshay, are we trying the problem, bacha? Remember the most important question here. We have to find out the engine of the car, how much work it is doing. Engine of the car. Remember, engine of the car. I'll give you 1 more minute to solve it. Okay, I hope everyone has attempted this problem and you have got the solution as well. If I just draw a free body diagram of this car, let us say this is the car, mass of the car is m. Now remember, this car is moving with an acceleration a. This car is moving with an acceleration a. There is a resistive force in the backward direction which is r. It could be friction. If this question was given in terms of mu, if this question was given in terms of mu, please understand, if this question was given in terms of mu, then in place of this r, you would have the resistive force of friction F. And that resistive force of friction is simply equal to mu n. And n in this case would be equal to mg. So your r will become mu mg. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hands? That's sir. If mu was given, C is the answer, Abhiram, that is correct. If mu was given instead of r, we would have to find out the value of the frictional force, and the value of frictional force is always equal to mu into n in this case, and n would be equal to mg. We all know this. We have done it so many times in Newton's laws of motion. In that case, the value of r would have become resistive force. That will be equal to mu n. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hands? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? Yes, we understand this. Now, this acceleration of the car is given, and here is a small thing that you must understand. If I talk about the net force acting on this car, please listen to me very carefully, bacha. I'll speak very slowly. If I talk about the net force on the car, F net force acting on the car in the parallel direction, horizontal direction, that net force on the car, whatever it is, that will be equal to mass into acceleration. It is Newton's second law of motion. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? If I talk about the net force on the car, applying Newton's second law of motion, F net will be equal to mass into acceleration. That is what we have done in the previous chapter. Only Abhiram is raising hands. What about the others? Are we there in the class? Tanu, Tarun, Akshaya, Abhiram. Abhiram is there. Vashant. Do we understand this, bacha? Okay. Now remember, while we are talking about this net force actually consists of two forces. One is the resistive force here, which is trying to pull the car back. The other force is the force of the engine, F engine, force of the engine, which is trying to propel the car in the forward direction. That is the force applied by the engine. Engine is trying to propel the car forward. Friction is trying to pull it backwards. Actually, there was a question that was asked in one of the uh, campus interviews of our college as well as in many colleges. What propels the car? If you are in a car, and how does the car move? What is the most important factor in making the car move? Everyone gave their own answers. Engine, tire, brake, gear, this, that. The correct answer is friction. If there is no friction, even if you are in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, the Ferrari or Lamborghini without friction will not move. The tire will just keep on rotating in one place and the car will not go anywhere. It's the friction between the tire and the road that actually makes the car go forward. But that is not the question here. The question is obviously, while the car is moving, there is some amount of work that is lost against friction, and that is what we are concerned about right now. That resistive force is R. The force which the engine is applying is in the forward direction because it wants to move the car forwards. The net force, if I talk about forward minus reverse, because the car is moving forward. So this net force here would be forward force, which is the force of the engine, minus the resistive force R. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? This F net the net force which is making the car to accelerate will be F engine, force applied by the engine minus the resistive force. Do we understand this? If we understand this, then we can find out what is the force applied by the engine. The force applied by the engine simply becomes, and I'll write it here. Force applied by the engine simply becomes R plus MA. Is it clear to everyone? The force applied by the engine becomes R plus MA. Can I have some reason that we understand this? The force applied by the engine is R plus MA. Now you know how much force the engine is giving. You know the velocity of the car at any particular instant is V. What is the power developed by the engine of the car? It is simply equal to the force multiplied by the velocity. So force is R plus MA. Remember, this is the force applied by the engine of the car. It is not the net force which is moving the car. The net force which is moving the car is MA. Remember that. That net force consists of the force applied by the engine and the resistive force. R plus MA becomes the force applied by the engine multiplied by V gives me the instantaneous power, and hence the correct option is option C. I hope all of you have understood this. Can I have some reason that we have understood this? Such questions are very likely to come in the examination hall, and therefore you need to do them correctly. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hands? So I'll give you a minute to note this question down. If you have any doubts, you can ask me this. I'll give you a minute to note this down. Please do it. I hope, Bacha, you have noted down the question. That will take us to the next question, and this is question number 66 from your sheet, and it is coming on your screen right away. Question number 66 is again come in JIPMA, and again such questions have come many times in NEET, so you can expect a question of this nature to be coming. Remember, there are 45 questions to come. A pump motor is used to deliver water at a constant rate, so the power is constant. Remember, rate is constant, power is constant from a given pipe to obtain twice as much water. So I want twice as much water from the same pipe in the same time. How much the power of the motor has to be increased? So basically, it's a very practical question. If you are living in an apartment or if you have your own house, you will be having a motor at the first floor, ground floor, at the ground floor where the water from municipal supply would be coming, and then you will be having an overhead tank where you will be pumping out this water, and from that overhead tank, this water come into your taps. So you lift this water from the ground level to your tank, and from tank it comes to your tap. The question is very simple. You have a motor to do this. I want twice as much water in the same time, in the same pipe. So I cannot change the size of the pipe. So everything is same. I can only change the size of the motor, the power of the motor. How much should the power of the motor be increased? The question is straightforward. Waiting for your answers, giving you a minute. Well, I hope you have solved this question. So basically, I have to lift this water. Let us say up to a height h from ground to the top floor. I have to lift. I'll need to do some work. How much work needs to be done? mgh to lift this water up. Mgh. That is the total work. Let us say the total time is t. So the power that we are talking about is average power. Remember, the rate is constant. So the power is constant. And if the power is constant, constant means same, then instantaneous power is always equal to average power. This is same as if the speed is constant, instantaneous speed and average speed is same. If velocity is constant, instantaneous velocity and instantaneous velocity and average velocity is same. If acceleration is constant, instantaneous acceleration and average acceleration are same. So you just find out the average velocity. In this case, you just find out the average power, and average power will be instantaneous power. What is average power? Total time, total work divided by total time. Total work is mgh divided by total time. So I get power is equal to, which is average and also instantaneous, will be equal to mgh by t. Now looking at what is given in the question, time is same, height is same, g is same, nothing has changed. That means my power is directly proportional to mass. Power is directly proportional to mass. If power is directly proportional to mass and I want twice the mass in the same time, the power has to be increased 2 times, and hence the correct answer is 2. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? So the answer is simply the power has to be made 2 times. Yes or no? Can I have some reason? Okay, Abhirav, understand this. What about the others? Do we understand this? From the online class, offline, there is no one. Tanushri, Chota Packet. Who is this Chota Packet? Please use your original names. I think they are good enough. You don't have to use all these acronyms for your name. So I hope that you will change it. Parley Genius. Oh, Parley Genius is also not a good name, I think. Please use your original names. That would help me in because if I call someone as Parley Genius or Chota Packet, that will not make much sense. Please use your original names. That would be good. Okay, Vaishnavi. Okay, okay. I don't know. Please use the original names, beta. I get confused. I get confused. I don't call student by other names. Call them by their own names. I can make the name short. Vaishnavi, I can call Vashi, Vaishu, or something like that. I can't change the entire name. So please use the original names. I hope you have understood this, everyone. Tarun, Vasant, Tanu, Chota Packet, Parley Genius. I hope you have understood this question and you have noted this down. If you have done that, then we will move on to the next question, which is question number 68. This is a question on same concept, and I would want you to do this. This question has come in BHU of my year 1997. That was very tough BHU. IIT का सवाल. As you can see, the question is pretty damn simple. I'll give you a minute to solve this. Waiting for your answers. So I think this question is pretty damn simple. Nothing has to be done. From a waterfall, water is falling at the rate of 100 kg per second. So the rate of fall of water is given on the blades of a turbine. The height of the fall is 100 meters. What is the power delivered? So basically, this is a question of uh, hydroelectric power station. Water falls from a height on a turbine blade. The turbine blade rotates. It rotates inside a magnetic field, and you have the power that comes into your home right now. Whatever is uh, switched on here, whether it's coming either it's coming from a coal thermal power station or it is coming from a hydroelectric power station. We'll come to know about this alternating current in the next year. So how much power is given by the falling water on the turbine? It is at a constant rate. So we call it instantaneous power or we call it average power. The work, everything remains same. So it is total work divided by total time. Total work is mgh divided by t. Now here m is not given, but m by t is given. M by t, this 100 kg per second is mass per unit time. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? This 100 kg per second is mass per unit time, so it is m by t, rate at which mass of the water is falling. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hands? So this m by t is multiplied by g is multiplied by h, and I have mgh by t, and that becomes my power. That is converted into kilowatts. So the answer is 100 kilowatts. Can I have some reason that we understand this? Everyone understand this? Why is why are you Chota Packet? Why are you changing your name, everyone? Now you are calling yourself how come? Please use the original name. Yeah, yeah. Why are people using all these funny names? I don't think these are students from our class. Maybe there is a spam somewhere because no student will use a name like yeah, yeah, how come? I would have to throw you out of the I would have to throw you out of the class. Sorry. So how come goes away? Then Yaya also goes away. If you don't use the original names, you are gone. Parley Genius. Who is this Parley Genius? Parley Genius also went away on its own. Okay, so again, please use the original names in the class. Don't use funky names. I will throw you out of the class. Okay, so we understand this. Question number 68. If this is good, if you have understood this, that shall take us to question number 69. I will read the question, read the important points, and I hope that you can do this question. A particle is moving with a velocity, so velocity is given in the form of vector. Under the influence of a constant force, force is also given in the form of vector. What is the instantaneous power? So the question is straightforward. Force is given, velocity is given, and you are supposed to find out instantaneous power. I'll give you a minute to solve the question and give me the answer. Well, I hope you have solved this problem. Everyone has solved this problem. We just have to find out the instantaneous power. Instantaneous power is F dot V. Force is 10I plus 10J plus 20K. You have to dot it with 5I minus 3J plus 6K. You should remember dot product. I goes with I, J goes with J, and K goes with K, and rest all is 0. So 10 into 5 is 50. The first is 50. 10 into minus 3 is minus 30. So 50 minus 30. 20 multiplied by 6 is 120. So 50 minus 30 plus 120, and the answer is 140 joules per second or 140 volt, 140 watt. That is the answer, which is option number C. I hope all of you understand this. Can I have some reason that we have got the answer? Well done, everyone. Congratulations. You are doing exceedingly well. We are doing a lot of problem in power because it also consists of power, question coming from the energy part and work done part. And these are the questions Somehow I feel that you might get a question on, and therefore we are doing so many problems here, so that this is a revision of this entire chapter, because this entire chapter, as you can see, finishes here. One part is remaining, which will be starting in the next week. That will be on circular motion. And you will say circular motion. Yes, we have to do circular motion again. Not again completely, but yeah, whatever is needed, I will discuss it again. That takes us to question number 67. I have just reversed the order a bit because I thought that it's good that we do the Badwala question first. Then we do question number 67. Question number 67, here it comes. I will dictate it. I will read out the important points, and I hope you can understand the important points. Mark those important points. You can only read the question once. Remember, the force applied by engine of a car, not a car, a train. Mass of the train is given. Changes the velocity from 5 meter per second to 25 meter per second in 5 seconds. No, not in 5 seconds. 5 minutes. Remember, minutes, seconds conversion. The power applied by the engine is tan, tan, tan. Velocity is changing 5 to 25 meter per second. 5 minutes is the time. Power is assumed to be constant, or they are talking about the average power. So that is the hint to solve this question. Mass of the train is given. How much the velocity has changed is given. In how much time it is given. You have to find out the power applied by the engine of the train. 2 minutes is all you get. Can I have raised hands from everyone who is trying the question? Akshay, Kirti, Tarun, Abhiram, Vasant. It's good that you're using your names. I like your names. Your names are too good. Don't use other names. Are we trying the question, Akshaya, Kirti, Tarun, Vasant? Can I have some raised hand that we are trying the question, sir? Good. Tarun is there in the class. Akshay, Kirti, Akshaya, Kirti, Vasant. 1 more minute. I hope all of you have tried this question and got the answer. I am supposed to find out average power. Average power is total work divided by total time. Now here, how do I find the total work? Total work is the change in kinetic energy. Final kinetic energy half mv2 square minus initial kinetic energy, m is taken common, v2 square minus v1 square multiplied by half multiplied by m divided by total time t. You put the values half m v2 square minus v1 square divided by time. Remember, time is 5 minutes and not 5 seconds, and that will give us the power supplied or applied by the engine. Can I have some reason that we understand this? Abhiram, Akshay, Kirti, Tarun, Vasant, we are all there. We are understand this. Okay. So now we will try and do this question, which is question number 74. Such questions have come many times in the exam. So we will be discussing this question. And the question goes like this. I hope everyone is attentive. A constant force F is applied on a body. The power generated, how much power it is generating, is related to the time. So if I apply a constant force on a body, what power that force is generating, force is doing work, the rate at which work is done is power. What power that force is generating is proportional to what? You will say, sir, we don't know. Find out. And remember this answer. This is a very important question that can come in different ways. I'll give you 2 minutes to think about this question and then we will solve it. 2 minutes. Are we all trying the question? Can I have some raised hand that, sir, we are trying the question? Abhiram, Akshaya, Kirti, Tarun. Vasant, are we attempting the question, beta? Good. One more minute. Yes, Abhiram, B is the answer, and let us see how we get to this answer. So, how do we get to this answer? Now, if we talk about power, power is force multiplied by velocity. Now, how do I write this velocity in terms of force? So, basically, you have to find out the relation between power and time. But here we have force and velocity. How do I get time here? How do I get time here? You have to somehow get time. How do I get time in this equation? That is the only concern that we have. So from here, if you see, force is mass into acceleration. Acceleration can be written as dv by dt. If I take dt this side, I can write f into dt is m into dv. dv is change in velocity, dt is small time. If I integrate both sides, I can get f is or v is f by m into dt or t. So I can substitute the value of v, velocity, from here and put it in this equation. So the equation for power becomes f square t by m. F square t by m. If force is constant and mass is constant, then power is directly proportional to time. So this is the answer, that power is directly proportional to time. You don't have to do this much. You can understand this logically as well. I'll give you time to think about this. We have derived this result. There are other ways in which I can derive this result, but just remember this result in your head, that for a constant force, the power generated related to time elapsed is directly proportional to time. On this note, we will end today's class. If you have any doubts, please come up to me. Please note this question down. Remember this. And if you have any doubts, please let me know. Remember, force is constant. That does not mean power will be constant. If force is constant, power is F dot V. Velocity will keep on changing, and hence power will not be constant. Power is directly proportional to T. Remember this. This is the last thing that we have to understand in this work, power, energy. The next class we will be beginning with something known as circular dynamics. We'll go back to circular motion and see some important points about that. That would be in the next class. That would be on Monday. And I hope that you are there in the next class. And again, happy Pongal to all of you. Enjoy your vacations. Stay at home and stay safe. Take care. Bye bye. It's a wrap from my end. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, the class is over. Take care.